Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Theo, I'm a Cambridge alumnus, and on this channel I publish weekly videos on self-betterment, studying and productivity. Today we're going to talk about how to avoid procrastination. First we'll inquire more closely into what procrastination is, then we'll take a look at the causes which determine our inclination to procrastinate, and then we'll finally go on and talk about the strategies that we can use to tackle the problem from the root up. Let's get right into it. So first things first, let's look at the definition of procrastination. Procrastination is the avoidance of doing a task which needs to be done. Most of us find that we procrastinate sometimes, to a greater or lesser extent. I am no stranger to procrastination myself. You might find yourself procrastinating at uni, at work, or from the tasks that you know you need to do as an entrepreneur. Like I've been procrastinating before finally getting on with it and making this video. But procrastination only becomes a problem when it affects the quality of your work or if it causes you stress. Procrastination can often be like a time management technique. You leave it to the last minute so that you leave more time to do other things. However, it's quite a risky time management strategy because it can cause you to lose control of your time and work and then cause you to feel stressed because you can't get it finished before the deadline. At that point, procrastination can cause you feelings of guilt or lack of self-worth, and that's a really bad place to be in, so that's what we want to avoid. Some people at that point might just ask, why don't you just get on with it? And that usually, when coming from others, never helps. However, it's useful to be self-reflective and ask that question ourselves. Now, as I said before, the causes of procrastination can be varied, but one of the most popular ones is perfectionism. The false preconception that everything that we're doing should be perfect right from the start may cause us to get stuck at an early stage and then put off finishing eternally. Perfectionism is a huge issue in its own right, and I've experienced it myself. I was very much of a perfectionist when I was younger, and in some respects I still am, and I'll definitely talk more in depth about that in a future video. But for now, let's leave it at that as a cause of procrastination. And if there's one thing I'd like to stress about perfectionism is that you're not expected to do anything perfectly right from the start. You have to just start doing it and figure it out along the way. Simply doing that will allow you to progress much quicker, and it will be much more useful than just sitting and stressing about being perfect and not being able to get on with it. A second widespread cause of procrastination is the anxiety about how to do the task properly and not knowing what is required, which then leads to a fear of failure. In this case, the problem may not even lie within yourself. If you're not sure how to do a task, then it's probably not well explained, or you should just dig deeper and call some people who are in charge of this and make sure that you know what is expected of you so that you know how to plan your first steps in achieving that task. If it has been explained to you properly but you're still feeling anxious about potential failure, then please don't. The only failure is that of not getting started. The only mistake is that of not even trying. There's a lot to gain from making mistakes. A third popular cause of procrastination is not feeling ownership of the task. If it's not something that you want to do, if there is external motivation but no internal motivation for doing that thing, then you might feel the need to procrastinate because it's not your thing. And then a fourth and final cause would be a low tolerance for things which are difficult or uncomfortable. But most things which push us forward in life and make us better persons are usually difficult and uncomfortable. So that's exactly and precisely why those are the tasks which we need to focus on and which we need to accomplish. Now, in order to identify the best strategies, there are some questions that you need to ask yourself. What sorts of things do you tend to put off? Is there a common feature which characterizes or links these things? At which point in your task are you procrastinating? Is it during the planning phase at the beginning, in the middle of the task, or before finalizing it? What are you thinking and feeling when you start to procrastinate? What do you tell yourself? Based on your answers to these questions about yourself, you should start experimenting with one or more of the following strategies and see which one suits you best. So I've divided the strategies into three main categories. There are time management strategies, task management strategies, and accountability strategies. For time management, there are two strategies you can use. First of all, you can set boundaries to your time. According to Parkinson's law, work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. For this reason, you need to be very orderly with the way you use time, otherwise you would end up working all day and only accomplishing the tasks that you could be accomplishing in a lot less time. In order to structure your time better, you can use social or sporting events and make sure that you give yourself a realistic amount of time to study or work. As a little anecdote, when I was younger in primary school, I would come back from school and my mom would pick me up because she finished at midday as a medic. But every day at 5 p.m. she had to go back to work in order to see her patients from the following day. What she would tell me in order to make me do my homework right after coming back from school was that if I finished my homework by 5 p.m. when she had to go back to work, I would have the whole evening free to play and do whatever I wanted. This was obviously a very appealing thought for me as a kid, especially that I lacked a real understanding of time and didn't know that actually from 5 until bedtime wasn't so much time. So basically for my entire primary school I was tricked into structuring my time better and doing my homework at the right time. A second time management strategy would be to set deadlines and commitments, make them visible in a planner or digitally, as I decided to do this year, in a calendar. Alternatively, you can also have a planner on your wall like my girlfriend does. Anyway, you should keep a list of things to do, but make sure to also keep a list of those things that you've already done, which are already accomplished, so that you feel a lot more motivated to accomplish tasks further. In terms of task management, you should firstly identify your displacement activities, those activities that you end up doing instead of doing your work. Some of these can be obvious, such as surfing the internet, scrolling on social media, watching some more episodes of that series you like on Netflix, researching some topic that you've got no deadline for, looking at yourself in the mirror, or cooking a very complicated recipe that you never attempted before. But others look deceptively like productive work, but don't actually help you progress. Some of these could be making overly detailed plans, cleaning the house the 5th time this week, putting the stationery shelf in order for the 10th time today, or reading books that are tangentially related to the topic. Now, in order to help you decide if it's productive work or displacement, there is this thing called the urgent/important matrix. This matrix, which you can see on the screen right now, is basically a function of urgent and important. As we go to the right, the tasks get more and more important, and as we go from the bottom up, the tasks get more and more urgent. In the bottom left corner, we're left with the stuff which is neither urgent nor important, which is completely a displacement activity. In the bottom right corner are the things which are important but not urgent, which is the ideal situation. In the top left corner are the tasks which are urgent but not important. These should be priorities. And also in the top right corner are both urgent and important tasks. And from this matrix you can obviously see which tasks you should start doing right now, and those are those which are both urgent and important. Then catching up on some stuff, you should take care of what's urgent but not important, and then reach the ideal situation in which you work on important tasks which are not urgent because you started early, you started working on time, so you're not stressed about it. And then instead of doing stuff which is neither urgent nor important, you shouldn't do that at all. Instead of those activities which are pure procrastination, you should decide on something very relaxing that you can do, such as social activities or sporting activities or doing some music, or something that relaxes you and brings you some value, not just making you feel guilty that you can't start working. Further, you should figure out where in the process you are getting stuck, at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end. And at that point where you get stuck, you should think about what steps you can take in order to progress. And in order to figure out what steps you need to take, you have to make your tasks more manageable and more approachable. And for that, you have to use SMART goals. Now, that's a SMART acronym, you think, but what does it stand for? SMART goals are goals which are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. A task needs to be specific. If it's a vague task, then it will be very difficult to start doing it because you won't know where to start or what to do exactly. And you'll lose that initial momentum trying to figure out what you actually have to do and making it more specific, which takes away from the time that you allocated to it initially, and you might end up not doing it at all. A task also has to be measurable. If it's open-ended and you can't tell when it is supposed to be finished, then it might be difficult to get on to other tasks. So you should aim to express your tasks in such a way that they have a natural ending point. A goal also has to be achievable, which is derived from all the other characteristics of these goals. But if you don't know if a goal is specific or time-bound or measurable, then you won't be able to tell if it's doable, especially under time pressure. Goals also have to be relevant, obviously relevant to the most urgent and most important tasks. You shouldn't spend time on stuff that is unimportant or irrelevant. So always ask yourself, how is this task contributing to the progress of my essay or my work? Otherwise, it might just be another displacement activity like we talked about before. And finally, a goal has to be time-bound. You should estimate a specific time frame in which you will be able to do and to accomplish that task. And the more you practice this, defining time frames for your tasks, the better you'll get at estimating how long your future tasks are going to take. So an example of a vague task would be, I'll spend this afternoon reading. An example of a smart task would be, I'll spend an hour from 11 to 12 reading this chapter from this book, looking for information that I can use to support these points in my essay. Alright, so now that we've talked about time management and task management strategies, there's one more category of strategies we can use to fight procrastination, and this is accountability. The first accountability strategy would be to agree deadlines with other people so that they can keep you accountable for your progress. You could also ask them to help you reward yourself when you've completed a task, or on the flip side, you could tell them that you give them a certain sum of money if you don't do that task. So this way you'll be motivated by a negative outcome of not doing the task in order to do the task. And the second accountability strategy would be to develop a support network with fellow students, with your friends, or with trustworthy people from your university or workplace. These would be the people that you'd want to be able to approach with any issues you have in completing your tasks and achieving your goals. And these should also be people you take advice easily from and that you trust to give you good advice. Most of the time, I found myself turning to my girlfriend or my parents for this sort of support, and it worked out really well for the past years that I've been studying and working. One more strategy that you can use to become more productive and to find out more about self-betterment would be to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. That'd be great if you liked this video, because then YouTube would show it to more people who would like to find out more about procrastination and how to beat it. This has been it about procrastination for this time. Stay tuned for a lot more videos on self-betterment, studying and productivity in the future. I'm publishing videos every week, so I'll catch you in my next one.